Do you believe that there is something calling out to you to reveal your wholeness, to reveal the wholeness that is your divine birthright? There is a unity principle practice that is kind of a number one go-to. When you have issues with prosperity, when you have issues with job change or job loss, or what is my passion, what do I want to do with my life? When we have challenges to our health and our wholeness, when we have forgiveness work that we know is time to do, when we have relationship issues, when we're getting a divorce or finding a new relationship or wanting to find a soulmate, when we're working on developing patience and courage, when we're awakening our 12 powers or our divine faculties, when we're working on emotional regulation, or when we're affected by depression or anxiety, trying to develop discipline, focus, concentration, there's one principle and practice that we engage in unity that is an overall coverall. Are you wondering what that practical, purposeful principle practice is? It sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Something to apply when all of that or any of that is up. I don't know where that came from. I think that's the ether saying, yeah, this is a big one. Listen. Either that or I'm going to have to switch stuff around. We'll see how we go. This is one that you could imagine might take a lot of therapy. You might have to take a lot of classes. You might have to spend a lot of time and invest a lot of energy and maybe time, maybe money, figuring out how you can gain this knowledge of this principle and how you can apply it. The funny thing, though, about this application is that it requires none. It is free, it is accessible, and it is unlimited. It is the simplest of all practices, and it is available to all. I have a Unity minister friend, Bob, and he always said, truth is simple. It's always simple. If anyone tries to make it complicated, it ain't truth. If there's a lot of steps and a lot of hoops, it ain't truth. Truth is always simple. It might not be easy, but it's always simple. And this one is kind of like our health and our food choices. You know, a lot of times when things are happening with our health and our wellness, we pretty much all know what to do. We pretty much all know, well, the truth is, I guess, if I took out the refined sugars, took out, watched the gluten or the wheat intake, took out all of the kind of additives or the fake foods, and if I watched my meat or I watched the dairy or removed those things and I upped the vegetables and I did those kind of things, well, that's going to contribute to a healthy body. Put in some exercise in there, right? We all really know this, we know it. It's just we're pretty funny creatures, aren't we? We can know these things, but knowing them and doing them are two different things. So this practice is a little bit like this. This principle and the application of it is a little bit like this. But we don't always do it. It's the one thing that you can do pretty simply. The one thing that will make a difference in everything. Have I got you on the edge of your seat yet, or did you know what it was when we started? Da, 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 da. It's meditation. It's meditation and engaging in practices of mindfulness. Now, when we think of meditation, you might think, oh my gosh, my mind is always racing. I've tried to do it. I can't do it. Well, I can tell you one thing. I didn't know what silence was like in my mind until I started doing yoga. I literally have a mind that thinks all of the time. It is always making lists. It is always looking at what I can do better, what could improve. It always has work for me to do. It's almost like an exhausting buddy that I live with. But when I began to take yoga classes, and I do a specific kind of yoga, it's that hot yoga that's pretty intense. When I began to do that, I started to notice something, that after a while into the class, I would have these breaks and I could recognize that I just kind of came back and my mind wasn't thinking. And I could significantly feel the difference, like, oh my gosh, there was just space there. What was that? And for each of us, we need to discover and be on our own path of discovery of what creates that silence. For some of us, it is physical activity. It's physical exercise, yoga as a preparation for meditation, because you take all of that energy that you have and suddenly it's all being used to such a degree it's not distracting you anymore. You know, like someone that has ADD might love to go to a coffee shop to do work. Other people might think, are you kidding me? If I was in a coffee shop, there's no way I could get stuff done. You've got the grinders going off. You've got people answering your phone. You've got people coming in and leaving. You've got people talking. You've got all sorts of commotion. But for some of us, the best place to get work done is right in the middle of a coffee shop, no? Meditation is the same way. For some, it comes when you're in a moment golfing or with nature, and all of a sudden you just realize there was space in the mind. So breathe in that today. Think about your own mind. And when you naturally notice that it begins to expand its moments of silence, that is your key to unlocking the portal to meditation. And if you've already said to yourself, you know, I've tried this, I can't do it, I can't sustain a practice, let this bring you a little bit of hope. Eckhart Tolle, one of our leading teachers in the world of mindfulness today, mindfulness, meditation, and intentionality, he says, I do not put much emphasis on periods of meditation. If you do meditation, it's fine, but the important thing is to bring the awareness into everyday life, into every little action that you do, into the very challenges of everyday life. So he kind of gives us permission to not stress so much about having some massive practice, but to allow whatever practice you have to inform moments of mindfulness and moments of awakening in everyday life. So we have to have a practice to begin with, and when we can allow that practice to expand, when we can recognize it and allow it to expand, then we can begin to impact all of the other areas of our lives. But oftentimes we don't do it. Just think about this. If meditation were a medication, everyone would be on it. If meditation were a medication, everyone would be on it. If it were a prescription, that offered benefits that the meditation offers, someone would be rich. But it's not a prescription, and it's not available over the counter. It's available everywhere you are for free all of the time. Do you see what I'm saying? Literally, if it could be bottled, it would be expensive. We would have lines at CVS to get it. Yet it's freely given. It's everywhere available. It's inexhaustible. And we greatly underutilize it, do we not? And the profits don't reach a pharmaceutical company, more like they reach a credit union that has profit sharing for all. If anyone in your life has taken up meditation, if anyone in the systems that you work in, whether it's in the school, in your job, wherever it is, in your environment, in your family, if people have taken up medication, you know that it is a complete profit-sharing system. That when one engages it for themselves, everyone around them reaps the benefits, the whole of society. And you don't even have to go anywhere to pick it up. In fact, sometimes you just get to sit down or lay down or stop moving. Though you can't pop it in your mouth and digest it in 2 seconds, for 20 minutes a day, it's yours. If you simply spend 5 to 30 minutes a day in mindfulness and meditation, It changes your perception. It changes your life. But it's hard, we might think. The mind wanders. My mind is just loud. It's just noisy. It's hard to discipline myself. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. I'm not sure if the benefits are really there. Nothing happens when I do it, or I just don't do it. I have a minister friend, Reverend Brenda, and she always looks at you when you say anything like that, and she goes, "Well, how's that working for you?" How's it working for you? Do you ever stop on a day or a week that you feel is chaotic and awful and just pause to remember, oh, I am sitting on a gold mine. I am literally sitting on a gold mine. I have a resource and a practice that I could activate right now, and it's the only thing that can save me. And get that tool out of your tool bag and begin to use it. I had a couple of days last week that were like that were days where you just say, oh, it's just a circus. It's just a circus. And you'd like to say, not my monkey, not my circus, but sometimes it's your monkey and it's your circus. When I have days like that, I stop and I launch to my prayer partners. I launch it to them saying, I need support. Can you breathe in some prayers and send them my way? And then I remember the practice. I remember that truly the only thing that I can do to help my state of mind in those moments on those days is to expand my prayer and meditation practice, to expand the time in the silence, and to engage at a deeper level, because for some reason, everything is hitting me in a certain way that it's not working. And I could either get all jacked up and try to manipulate and shift everything around me, or I could realize that there's something happening within me and that the tumultuous or the turmoil is happening within me, and I need to clear the scene. I need to calm the waters and to start within. The benefits of meditation are mind-blowing. One study showed that after only an 8-week course in mindfulness practice, the brain's fight or flight center, the amygdala, appeared to shrink. So your whole brain response shifted. We know that it reduces stress, improves concentration, focus, and multitasking, helps with sleep issues, helps with pain and cellular inflammation, anxiety, depression, fatigue, heart disease, blood pressure, allergies even. It can even help with binge eating or emotional regulation. They've even found studies that show with brain studies that it increases the gray matter and the volume in certain areas of the brain that help with emotion or self-control. It can help with substance abuse and increase self-awareness and peace of mind, even acceptance, to slow aging, to improve cardiovascular and immune health, memory, creativity, and thinking outside of the box. I could go on and on. Can you believe it? Can you see the commercial? Except the only great part is that you don't have a tagline that says, and you'll lose your limbs, your ankles might fall off, your skin will turn blue, you'll start vomiting, and you'll lose all of your conscious functionings. And we're sitting here with it all the time. Can we remember that? Are we worth it? Are you worth it? Are the people who spend time with you worth it? Is it time to check in to the spiritual practice and to really decide to make a choice to take it on and bring it to the next level? Not to take it on like it's a goal or something you have to do or you have to work with it in any way that makes it hard, but take it on in a way that you lift it up. That you say, sweet Spirit, show me how to integrate this into my life in deeper and greater ways. Show me the transformative practice. Be that in me that wakes up in any moment that I can recognize I'm underutilizing my innate resources. Allow in me to create the space to birth a new practice that supports my well-being. How many of you showered either today or within the last 3 days? How many of you brushed your teeth? How many of you went to sleep last night? We don't forget to do those things, do we? Not very often. It's worth it. It's worth it to take on this part of the spiritual practice. Just in the way we get up, we go to sleep, we eat, we don't forget to eat. Can we acknowledge our spiritual needs and prioritize them to the same degree we prioritize our physical needs? They have the same effects. If we don't get sleep, if we don't eat, if we stop showering or brushing our teeth, it is clearly going to impact our lives. And dropping our spiritual practice has a similar effect. We just can't always smell it or hear it or see it. Well, you can, energetically you can, right? You're like, wow, look at me reacting all over the place this week. Look at me being disturbed and triggered. Look at me projecting. Look at me striving to shift or control the outer conditions so I can feel inner peace because I have not reserved the time to create it from the inside out. Look at me trying to get it from the world around me. All you have to do is turn on the news for 5 seconds and realize that is not going to be very successful. To try to get it from the world around you. We generate it from the world within us because we are part of the collective co-creative generator of all peace and all presence. Emmett Fox is known for saying, if you have no time for prayer and meditation, you will have lots of time for sickness and trouble. If you have no time for prayer and meditation, you will have lots of time for sickness and trouble. And some people think that these are only practices to use when we're not feeling well or things are not going well. But what about the days where we do feel well? Those are the days to build up the practice so that it's easier to use at the times when it's challenging. Those are the moments to use it even when we think we don't need it. It's easier to give or to tithe when we have money. It's easier to exercise when you have energy and you feel good. But a practice of circulating, a practice of exercising is what helps you during all of the times that you need the support. And if you have somewhere in your mind an idea that meditation doesn't make a difference, I invite you just to let that go. Because it comes from the part of our minds, that ego part of our minds, that wants to put in this time to get this result, wants to see it, wants to know exactly, well, how am I going to benefit? Where am I going to get this, this excess from? How is it going to change things? A meditation practice is simply a divine appointment. Mindfulness is a divine appointment. It's a shift in consciousness. It's a shift in perspective. And what it takes is a full and mighty release of any expectations of results, because we can't always see where they come from and how they come to us, no? Just like you can't always see the impact of your life. Does anyone else love those movies where in the movie, people die and then you get to do the life review and you get to see everything, how you've impacted everyone? I love those movies. They don't really make them anymore. I haven't seen one for a while. But there was a time when we saw a lot of them coming up. And people go around thinking they don't have an impact or thinking what they did didn't have an impact. Look at It's a Wonderful Life. And then you get to see. So can we believe in the possibility that we can trust the value of a mindfulness and meditation practice? Just like we can trust that sleeping helps us wake well rested. Just like we can trust that all of these other physical self-care things are needed and necessary for every moment. So consider this week, consider expanding your practice. Consider grounding your practice. Consider really shifting the mindset to remember that each moment you have the best prescription, and it is already written out to you. It is given freely, and you don't have to go anywhere to pick it up. All you have to do is say yes and take it. Make it easy. Make it like eating, sleeping, showering, brushing your teeth. Just add it to the routine. Find a space in life where you can add it in. Keep it simple and trust that it's working. Eckhart Tolle says, to meet everyone and everything through stillness instead of mental noise is the greatest gift. The greatest gift that you can offer the universe. Are we willing to offer the universe our greatest gift? Namaste.